A stranger at the park demanded I give her my expensive camera because you're just a hobbyist. I'm a real photographer. When I refused, she grabbed my bag and shrieked, "I deserve it more." Bystanders stared in shock as I tightened my grip, turned to the nearest officer, and said, "Then let's see how theft charges look on you." It was a crisp Saturday morning in early October. The leaves in Central Park had begun their annual transformation, painting the landscape with hues of amber, crimson, and gold. As an amateur photographer, I cherished these moments. Armed with my Nikon D850 and a 70 to 200 mm lens, I set out to capture the park's serene beauty. I found a quiet spot near Bow Bridge, where the reflections on the lake were particularly mesmerizing. As I adjusted my settings, a woman approached me. "Excuse me," she began, her tone assertive. "That's a professional-grade camera. Are you a professional photographer?" I looked up, slightly taken aback. "No, just a hobbyist," I replied with a smile. Her eyes narrowed. "Then you shouldn't have that camera. I'm a professional photographer, and I need equipment like that more than you do." I chuckled, thinking she was joking. "Well, I saved up for this gear." "It's mine." Without warning, she lunged forward, grabbing my camera bag. "I deserve it more," she shrieked. Instinctively, I tightened my grip on the bag. The commotion drew the attention of nearby parkgoers. A few pulled out their phones, recording the incident. "Let go," she screamed, tugging harder. I spotted a uniformed NYPD officer patrolling nearby. I raised my voice, "Officer, this woman is trying to steal my camera." The officer approached swiftly. "Ma'am, release the bag immediately." She hesitated but eventually let go. The officer turned to me, "Are you okay? Do you want to press charges?" I nodded. "Yes, I do." The woman was taken into custody, still protesting her actions. I provided a statement, and several bystanders shared their videos with the police. Later that week, I received a call from the precinct. The woman had a history of similar incidents and was facing multiple charges. The evidence provided by the witnesses was instrumental in building the case against her. The incident left me shaken, but also reinforced the importance of standing up for oneself. I continued my photography, more cautious, but undeterred. Central Park remained my sanctuary, a place where I could capture the world's beauty, one frame at a time. The next day, I didn't go back to the park. I stayed home, sorting through the pictures I'd taken. The trees, the reflections, the peaceful people walking their dogs, it all felt distant now. My hands still remembered the tug-of-war with that stranger. Her face, twisted in anger, wouldn't leave my mind. But the park was part of my routine. I'd been going there every weekend for 3 years. I couldn't let one encounter change that. So the weekend after, I went back, same time, same place near Bow Bridge, camera ready. Everything was quiet at first. A few joggers. A man walking his golden retriever. I was lining up a shot of the bridge when I heard a voice I recognized. "Oh, you again." I turned around. My stomach dropped. It was her. She wasn't alone this time. She had 2 other women with her, both wearing black windbreakers and carrying cameras that looked suspiciously like rental gear. She crossed her arms and stared at me like I'd kicked her dog. "Didn't think you'd show your face again," she said. "You're lucky I didn't press charges for assault." I blinked. "You tried to steal from me." One of her friends laughed. "Yeah, sure. That's not what we heard." It hit me then. She was telling people a different version of the story. She must have posted about it somewhere. I pulled out my phone and checked Instagram. Sure enough, she had posted a photo of me, taken during the incident, and claimed I attacked her when she asked for help. Hundreds of likes. Dozens of angry comments, all from strangers who now thought I was some aggressive man attacking women in the park. I walked away. I knew better than to argue in public, but my hands were shaking. That night, I sat down and drafted my side of the story. I posted the full thing on Reddit with all the details, the video links people had shared, screenshots of her account, timestamps, everything. I didn't use her name, just told what happened. It blew up. Messages started pouring in. Some people found her posts and called her out. A few even messaged me to say they'd had run-ins with her before, not over cameras, but similar confrontations where she acted like the victim. Some said she was banned from several local photography groups for aggressive behavior. I felt a little better, but I knew this wasn't over. The next weekend, I went back to the park, this time earlier, hoping to avoid her. I was halfway through shooting a bench covered in bright yellow leaves when someone tapped my shoulder. It was a man, maybe mid-40s, clean-cut, but something about him felt off. He smiled too wide. "You're the guy from that Reddit post, right?" I nodded, cautious. He looked around, lowered his voice. "She's not done with you. She says you're slandering her. She's planning to sue." My heart dropped. "Who are you?" "Used to be her photography partner. She's not stable. She's obsessed with being famous. She thinks someone always owes her something." I got out when she started talking about framing people. I stared at him. "Why are you telling me this?" He sighed. "Because I made the mistake of not warning the last person she targeted. He got hit with the restraining order and had to leave the city." I stood there, camera at my side, completely stunned. The man walked off, just like that, disappearing into the crowd. Now I couldn't sleep. I checked my front door twice every night. I checked under my car. I started getting weird texts from unknown numbers. Stuff like, "Still think you're safe?" or "Hope that camera's insured." Then came the letter. Real paper, real envelope. No return address. Inside was a printed screenshot of her post about me. My face was circled in red. Next to it, handwritten in thick marker, "Soon, everyone will know who you really are." I called the cops. Again. I gave them everything, the screenshots, the messages, the letter. They said they'd file a report. But I could tell they didn't think it was serious. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about the camera anymore. This woman was on a mission. And somehow, I was the target. 2 days after I handed over everything to the cops, I got an email from my job's HR department. "Please schedule time for a meeting regarding recent complaints about your conduct outside of work." I read it 3 times. My stomach clenched. I hadn't done anything wrong, not at work or outside of it. Unless you count not handing over my camera to a stranger. When I got into the meeting, my manager was there. So was someone from HR, arms folded, lips tight. They pulled up several anonymous emails claiming I was harassing women in public spaces and using intimidating equipment to take unauthorized photos. It was all written in that same passive-aggressive tone I'd seen in her posts. Same language. I explained the park incident. I explained the post. The video. Everything. My manager looked uncomfortable. "We believe you," he said quietly. "But this kind of attention, it reflects on the company. We'll need to keep an eye on it." I walked out of that office lightheaded, furious, and unsure of what the hell to do next. She was trying to destroy my life. But it didn't stop there. A week later, my friend Jamie called me. She runs a small art gallery downtown, and she'd been planning to host a collection of my photos. My first real exhibit. "She came in here," Jamie said over the phone, her voice shaking. "She told me you take photos of kids in the park without permission. Said she had proof." I nearly dropped my phone. Jamie continued. Of course I didn't believe her. But she was so calm. Like she really thought she was helping. Then she slipped in this weird threat, said bad things happen when people ignore warnings. I've got it on the security footage. I told Jamie to send me the video, and she did. I watched it 5 times that night. There she was, that same fake smile, that tone like she was the voice of reason. Acting like she was saving the community from me. She was calculated. She was methodical. I sent that video to the police too. Still, nothing changed. The next morning, I went out to get groceries, and I noticed flyers posted on the utility poles on my block. Dozens of them. They had my face on them, in big bold letters. "Watch out for this man. Takes photos of women and children without consent. There was a phone number on the bottom. Not mine. Probably a burner. I tore down as many as I could, heart racing. Someone must have seen me, because by the time I got home, I had 3 missed calls from a blocked number. A voicemail came through. It was her. "You can't silence the truth," she said, voice cold and eerily calm. "People are watching you now." I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with the lights off, trying to understand how a stranger could build a campaign like this, how someone I spoke to for less than 2 minutes could decide to ruin me. Then I remembered what the guy in the park told me. She had done this before. So I dug. I started reaching out to people in local photography forums, using burner accounts. I searched Reddit, old art blogs, photography subreddits. It took days. Finally, I found something. 3 years ago, in Chicago, there was a heated thread about a woman who ruined a photojournalist's career after accusing him of stalking. The guy eventually left the state. Another post from someone in Denver told a similar story. Different details, but same pattern. Camera gear, jealousy, accusation, public shaming. The usernames were different, but the writing was the same. The tone, the obsessive need to protect the community. The same phrasing she used in her emails to my work. I put it all together. Dates, screenshots, cross-references, and then I found her real name. It wasn't the name on her Instagram or the one she gave the police. It was buried in an old workshop registration list from a photography convention. She'd used her real name once, then switched to aliases. And with that, I found something else, a lawsuit. From 5 years ago. She was sued by another photographer for defamation and harassment. The case was dismissed, but the damage had been done. Now I knew she had a pattern. But that didn't fix my life. My reputation was bleeding out, my job was on shaky ground, and I couldn't go to my favorite park without scanning every face in the crowd. I started documenting everything, every message, every flyer, every fake profile. This time, I wasn't going to let her disappear into the shadows. But she was already 2 steps ahead. A week later, I was walking to my apartment building when I saw 2 cops outside my door. One of them turned and asked, "You live here?" "Yeah." He handed me a folded piece of paper. Restraining order. Filed against me. By her. She claimed I was stalking her. That I followed her, threatened her, took photos of her without consent. She had screenshots. Fabricated, of course. Photos of me walking in the park from public spaces, looking like candid shots, but twisted in context. I laughed, then nearly cried. I was the one being stalked. But she beat me to it. Now it was official. This wasn't a one-time conflict. This was war. I couldn't sleep for days after that restraining order. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare with no way out. She had flipped the whole story. I was now legally required to stay away from her, even though she was the one following me, calling my job, putting up flyers with my face. I hired a lawyer. Not cheap. Not easy. I had to pull from my savings, money I was saving for a future trip to Alaska to photograph the Northern Lights. That dream was done now. Every dollar was going into fighting her. My lawyer listened. Really listened. He wasn't surprised. "This isn't the first case I've seen like this," he said. "It won't be easy, but you've got a good amount of proof. She's reckless. People like her eventually slip up." We filed for a counter-protection order. I filed a defamation suit too. I included every piece of evidence. Her fake posts. Her visit to my friend's gallery. The flyers. The security footage. The witness statements from the park. The video from the first incident. Still the strongest piece of proof. It was painful dragging it all back up, but it was necessary. Court dates were set. And then the twist came. A week before our court hearing, her Instagram account vanished. Just like that. Every post, gone. All her followers, gone. I checked Reddit. Her accounts there were deleted too. Then I got an email from a burner address. I'm done fighting. I lost a lot too. I hope you're happy. I stared at the screen. My hands were shaking. 2 days later, I found out why. One of her photography friends, the ones who stood by her at the park, had come forward. Apparently, they had a falling out. This friend had screenshots. Private messages where she talked openly about ruining that guy in the park, even admitting she didn't care if it was true or not. She posted it all. Her real name. The past cases in other cities. The court records. Everything. It went viral. The internet turned on her like a wildfire. People shared their own experiences. Stories of her threatening them, stealing credit for photos, even harassing gallery owners. She'd been banned from more places than anyone realized. She'd just been using fake names to start over each time. Suddenly, I wasn't the villain anymore. I was the victim. The restraining order against me? Dropped. My own case? Moving forward, stronger than ever. She didn't show up to court. Her lawyer did, though. He looked tired, defeated. He handed over a settlement offer. $45,000. She wanted it to end. Wanted me to stay quiet. Wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I didn't sign it. I wanted my story out there. All of it. So people would know what happened. So, if she tried this again in another city, someone could search her name and find the truth. The case dragged for months, but I won. Not just the lawsuit. I got my reputation back. My job fully reinstated me. The gallery offered me a solo exhibition with press coverage. My story had gone so public that photographers from across the country reached out to support me. Even strangers who once believed her lies apologized. But here's the thing. I wasn't perfect either. I waited too long to stand up for myself. I ignored the early signs. I let the situation snowball because I thought being silent would make it go away. I learned the hard way that silence is a weapon too, just not one that helps you. So now I speak up. And I document everything. She disappeared again after the settlement failed. Changed her name, probably moved to another state. But this time, her shadow followed her. Her real name is out there. Her history is public. She can't scrub it away this time. And me? I still go to Central Park. Same spot near Bow Bridge. Camera in hand. This time, when people ask what I'm doing, I don't smile and say, just a hobbyist. I say I tell stories. Because that's what saved me. Telling mine.